During the reading of the South Side PD, if you would all please stand and join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you everyone for coming. Look at this turnout. This is all probably for me and Dwayne, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's it. Okay, do we have any comments from the audience on items that are not on the agenda? Okay.
Start with the oath.
Oh, actually, you wanted to do swearing in before I speak.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
So let's swear in right now then.
Okay, no swearing now.
No swearing.
Okay, we're going to say, you might come into the podium. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Shane Ramsos,
I, Shane Ramsos,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Okay, congratulations. Do you mind joining us at the podium? And Shane's term is for seat number 2, 2-year term. So Dave's is for seat number 3, a 4-year term. You raise your right hand. I, David Peterson,
I, David Peterson,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear truth and faith, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon I am about to enter.
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Congratulations. You can stay there. Just raise your right hand. I, Kelly Sheehan,
I, Kelly Sheehan,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Very, very good. Congratulations to all 3 of you. Now I'm looking for comments from the audience, but I'm not seeing a lot of audience other than staff. So how about corrections to the agenda or consent calendar?
Yeah, there's one.
Okay.
To move action item B, 8B, to the end of the meeting after the closed sessions.
Okay.
And then we do have one more, Randy. There was a correction to the side letter for the memorandum of understanding. It's the last paragraph was added, and you should all have a copy of that, including the audience.
Okay. So let's do it this way. I will move the adoption of the consent calendar as amended by Carrie Technology.
One second then.
Oh, that was correction.
Correct, by.
The one, the correction about moving the agenda, that doesn't have to, that doesn't go with the consent. That just, you got consent of the agenda.
Got it.
You just move it. And then,
I get it.
and Melanie's was instructed.
Right, it was.
Still a silence.
So moved.
Okay. I gotta keep you longer, that's right.
Just parse the words.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
I'm going to try to give you a lot of work to do in my last meeting. I'm going to try to keep you on your toes.
Okay, that motion passes unanimous. Can you see that up there on your screens?
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay.
Okay, looks like it's financial award time.
I was like, Heidi, Debbie, Susan, Lynn, Lisa, and the other Debbie, please stand.
I guess we do this by.
Normally we all have.
Normally, I was going to say, normally they all come up, but I come here and present it. We'll do it different this time. And for the 9 years I've been on this has happened every year, and it happened a lot of years before that, and it's because of the excellent accounting staff that we have here. So, I am pleased to present the Finance Division with the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for the District's Comprehensive Annual Financial Report for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2019. The Certificate of Achievement is the highest form of recognition in the area of governmental accounting and financial reporting for state and local governments, and its attainment represents a significant accomplishment by the district and its management. It is noteworthy to mention that the district has received this award for 25 consecutive years. Congratulations. Thank you. Who wants Okay, item 8A we are on to, which is the Sierra Tal ratings. Is Tim in the room?
Tim is under the weather today, so I'll go ahead and take care of this one.
Sure.
So you'll recall at the last board meeting, we had a request from Mr. Wallace, who owns Sierra Tal Ready Mix, for some rate relief to his water service due to the fact that his service line is above ground due to his extremely rocky soil out there in his plant. And it freezes during the winter, which requires him to utilize a private well for his domestic use during that period of time. And he also stated when he was on the phone the excessive cost that it would require for him to actually bury that line. So we talked about it some more internally here, and we do believe, staff believes that some rate relief is due. But based on a report that was prepared several years ago from Municipal Financial Services, 36% of the district's water system was designed and developed for fire protection. And since he'll still receive that fire protection during the winter months, even if he's not using the domestic water, we believe that he should still pay 36% of the base charge of the water rate during that period of time.
And if he doesn't have water in his property, how does he use the fire services?
Well, fire hydrants along the highway.
There's hydrants close enough?
I assume so.
I
But even,
don't know
even,
if that's a good
even if he was using fire, getting water from a fire tender, that tender is being filled up through a fire hydrant.
And so when we last talked about this, are we going to look at these as kind of case-by-case examples, and this kind of being the precedent that if you meet kind of some determined criteria, what rates would be reduced to the percentage that 36%? So is that kind of the thinking going forward?
That would be my understanding. This is the first time that I'm aware of that we've had a unique situation like this actually come forward. So I mean, it is somewhat of a precedent, yes.
Okay.
Have you talked to Mike about this?
I have not.
Or someone that staff has to ask?
Yeah.
I'm just curious what his reaction to it was.
You know, I can't actually answer that. I mean, it appeared when he was on the phone that he would be happy to receive anything.
Remember, his original request was for sewer also, because he couldn't get sewer. But then it was suggested by Dwayne that he could even cap the sewer off. I'm just curious if that went anywhere or not.
We have not pursued that yet. We were planning to talk to him to ask him if he would like us to come out there and actually do a sewer count, you know, check out what the drain system is out there. How is the well tied in, you know, to the property.
Yeah, and in particular, if the well water can get into the sewer system.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So that, you know, if we do want to bring something forward like that, that would be separate.
Glenn, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I think 36% is what it is arbitrary. It's better than nothing. But how much fire protects him or doesn't protect him, when we protect everybody, whether they've got a vacant lot or not, is it just seems still that his point is he's not using the water. So why charge him any? That's just my point of view.
Well, one of the arguments that we have used over the years to the second homeowners is that one of the reasons they continue paying for their water service is to receive this fire protection.
Yeah. But they still have the water connected.
Sure.
I mean, he does have the water connected, it's just.
Actually, no, it doesn't. Once they do the back.
Right, but I mean, it's his, it's at his discretion. So I mean, you could conceivably, you could install a line that would allow him to use water year round on his site.
What was the number he threw at that?
It was expensive.
Yeah.
And so, no, that's why I think this is a pretty reasonable kind of accommodation, because, you know, at some level, as we kind of set the rates and went through the 218 process and all those other things, that was how we justified everything was, okay, we're all kind of contributing to the system, and this seems to be his base level of contribution to kind of keep it fair within that logical consistency that we've set forth already. It's kind of how I see it, and I think that's kind of what you were looking to achieve, right?
Correct.
Anybody else have anything?
You guys have any comments?
What's the dollar value we're talking about? Like the discounted, what amount is he gonna save over the winter? Per month?
I actually can't answer that, because I don't know what type of meter he has out there, because that's what the base charge is based on, is
Right.
the meter.
I'm guessing he's got a pretty good meter, because when he's using water this summer, he uses.
Yeah, he takes a full on all the time.
Yeah.
So we don't know what size water line going in there or anything?
No, I don't know. Yeah, because it's the service line that's coming directly off a tank, I believe. And so, yeah, I don't know what the size of that is.
That's important, because it's a big difference between a 3/4 line and a 4-inch line, right? I mean, big difference in
Yes.
dollars. So I was
Absolutely.
just curious what that is.
Yeah, I thought I heard 4-inch 2 weeks ago, but I would say it's either 2 or 4-inch.
I thought I did too, but I can't verify.
You know, I don't think there's a huge rush on this, so I mean, if you'd like
Yeah.
to have the answers to some of those questions, we can bring this back 2 weeks from now.
I don't know, Randy, were you hoping to vote on it?
I'm over it.
We're just lucky he's here. I for one appreciate the amount of time you guys have put into it.
I would say, why don't we put it off, even though I'm not going to be here. If I were to be here, I would want to hear from some of these numbers on what it would be. I want to hear if Tim talked to Mike Wallace, what Mike's reaction is he happy with the 36%, and then see if he has any plans for on the sewer side and stuff. I just throw that out there. If you guys want to vote on it, I'm open to that too.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about the fact that he has drains that drain into the sewer regardless.
Well, it depends on if he runs that well water inside or if it only goes out to the batch plant.
I mean, I would really have him check with building code as well, like, about the sewer situation.
The health department, right.
And all those steps, because I couldn't say definitively whether he could do it or not, kind of, beyond our kind of authority.
It's good that an organization like ours stops and says, okay, what are we doing to an individual, and how can we adjust so that we're being fair to individuals? Because one size doesn't always fit all, and this is certainly one of those cases. Don't come along that often, though. So I was just questioning what the dollar amount was, like Chris did. What's the difference between 36% and 0? Or
Why don't we just put this off till next meeting,
yeah.
and you guys can bone up on it in the meantime, that's your homework.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So what is the 36% based on? Is that just like the time of the year that he's using it, or is that, how that's?
No, the report that was generated states that 36% of our water system in whole is designed for fire protection. So,
Okay.
yeah.
This is a rate study that was done a number of years ago.
Yeah.
And on the sewer side, that's going to be entirely within his discretion.
That's his discretion, right, whether he wants to cap that off or
It's
not.
just an administrative thing, whether he wants to or he can, depending on whether he needs it and whether the health department will let.
And I suppose if the health department said no, then that's a whole other issue, like Paul said, about going out there and assessing his drains and see where his well water has access to.
Right.
Because I would think that if he really has no water access to those drains at the same period of time, something on the sewer side could be done too. My 2 cents worth.
A dollar's a dollar.
Okay, let's go on to centrifuge number 2, major rebuild. We have a presenter for that?
Hi, you guys. This is Jeff Lee. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, Jeff.
I wanted to, I have Kyle Schraben, the maintenance supervisor with me here, and we want to welcome the new board members and wish best of luck to Randy and Dwayne. Thank you all for your service. We all appreciate it.
Thank you. We're in good hands.
Yeah. This agenda item relates to centrifuge number 2, and I'll give you some background. The district uses 2 centrifuges, one at a time, for dewatering our solids before we send them over to Bentley for composting. So we run one machine and the other one is a backup. The centrifuges went into service in 2004, and heavy maintenance does a maintenance tear down and the limited rebuild on each machine about every 2 to 3 years. And we come to the board for approval for that, similar to this one, although the prices run around $40,000 or $45,000 for that type of a rebuild. When we do the rebuilds, the technicians from Westphalia come up and they do this work on site, and our heavy maintenance mechanics assist them and also learn as they do that to be able to do more of this work themselves. During the last rebuild in 2018 for this machine, we found corrosion on the trunnion, which is like the main shaft that everything rides on in this machine that spins about 30,000 or 3,000 RPMs. Westphalia recommended that we replace this trunnion in the next rebuild, and that's on the rebuild, or the report that they left with us that's attached to this agenda item. If we were to do the trunnion replacement, that would be part of what they call a major rebuild. And Kyle had actually slotted major rebuilds for both machines starting in 24 and 25. Neither of these machines has ever had a major rebuild. And so what in essence we would be doing now, if this is approved, is basically doing the first rebuild early. Each centrifuge also has 2 external motors that drive the bowl and the scroll. And Jared in the electrical department, in a separate process, came up with the idea that we should probably budget and get replacement motors for at least one machine and have them. And so we had that money on our current budget. And we wanted to have them on hand in case of a failure because they have a really long lead time, between 4 to 6 months to get hold of these. In the meantime, Jared had done some research to see if he could find cheaper alternatives to get these motors from our regular motor sources, but these are so specialized, we eventually found out that we needed to basically go with the original equipment manufacturer's motors. And so now what we're doing is we're basically bundling a major rebuild with 2 new motors. So what happened about 3 weeks ago, a motor bearing failed on one of the motors and transmitted the vibration to the bearing inside the machine and caused a bearing failure inside the machine, which now requires a rebuild. So what we propose to do is go ahead and do the major rebuild now, which includes the new trunnion and the 2 internal gearboxes, which act like transmissions. We also want to order the 2 new motors and rebuild the current motors we have, and then we'll have 2 viable spares going forward. So that's kind of the package. Westphalia has told us that if we do this major investment, we should expect to get between 10 and 15 years of more life on these machines before having to do another rebuild like this. And the machines cost around $600,000 each, not including associated equipment and control system and all that stuff. So what we're proposing to do is ride these machines, keep maintaining them, and get some more life out of them. So we're open to any questions anybody has, and I'll put us on speaker here if you guys have any questions.
So Jeff, right now with this bearing issue, this machine's out of service, right?
Yes, it is. We're running the other machine and we have no backup right now.
How many? What's the volume of sewage that they can handle in the day? Can they handle everything that we send?
Yes, one machine, they run about 11 hours a day, and that day does a day's worth of solids handling. It's around 35,000 pounds we generate with this process. It's critical to us because, solids handling is a major function of wastewater treatment. We have to manage this. For mechanical breakdowns, we have the sludge storage tank we could use to hold storage while we respond to a mechanical failure. But the redundancy of having the other machine is, can't be understated. That's the value of that. And right now we're just running without.
So I was curious, is there any kind of efficiency improvements as a result of these new motors, energy efficiency improvements, as we've talked about kind of in the past, and sort of the work towards kind of energy tracking mechanisms here at the district? How does this upgrade, if at all, kind of lend itself to that effort?
I actually don't know if the new replacement motors are rated as more efficient than the original motors, but it's such a specialized item, it's really not an option for us to go to other motors, although we totally subscribe to that concept though. Jared, who runs the electrical department, that's actually one of our major efforts now, is to go for motor efficiency wherever we can. But I don't actually know if there's a more efficient version of this from Westphalia. We can inquire about that. One thing about efficiency overall, though, is we've learned from them the efficiency of the process. So we put solids in this machine at about 2% solids, and they come out at between 28 and 32% solids. And we know that there have been no advances in solids dewatering efficiency since we got these machines. So there would, even if we did choose to explore options to upgrade the centrifuge process, the dewatering process, there would be no advantages to be gained for solids removal efficiency. So, but we definitely factor that in to everything we're doing now.
Well, no, yeah, it all makes complete sense. I mean, at some level, you're just dealing with the options you have available to you, especially when you get to something as, you know, highly specialized as some of the things we deal with here. So, but I do appreciate the update.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
Go ahead. Well, I was just going to say, you know, we had originally in our CIP had proposed to be looking at centrifuge replacement when they were about 20 years old. And so the good news is that we think that these are viable assets going forward if we just keep maintaining them. But what we've done is defer what we thought might be about $2 million worth of capital upgrades if we actually had to go through this again and go out and get new centrifuges and open it up. So we're actually deferring a big capital expense by basically riding these and just committing to keeping them, you know, doing the maintenance on them.
Yeah, my experience here tells me we should have backup motors in place, because I don't know how many times we've had to wait 6 weeks or 6 months for a key part. We don't have Ken here to make them anymore. We used to just make the parts. I'm for keeping the backup parts.
I agree.
Yeah, I think we agree too. Jared, and actually over the last couple of years, Jared and Kyle, we've been investing with our O&M budget on having backup parts in stock for critical stuff with long lead times. So I think we're all on the same page with you on that too, Dwayne.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no more discussion, let's have a motion. How about somebody in the room do it? They can just do it.
Shall I read it?
I think Kelly's going to bail you out here, Jeff.
Thank you.
I move that we authorize exception to the bidding procedures as outlined in purchasing policy for an equipment and service purchase requiring capability with existing equipment to be purchased from the manufacturer and approved purchase of parts and labor from GEA Westphalia Separator Division for a major maintenance rebuild of centrifuge number 2 and 2 motors in the estimated amount of $116,224.60.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Okay, 5-0. Thank you all. Dental insurance renewal, Liz?
So what I have for you is the 2021 dental insurance renewal. We bring this forward every year about this time, and usually it's a pretty simple renewal. This year we are recommending a few amendments to the plan. Earlier this year, CVS Group Health, who is our third-party administrator for the dental program, notified us that they would no longer be administering 2 parts of our program, so the preventative dental program and the dental rewards rollover provision that we have, which allows monies to be rolled over each year for additional services. So we had our dental consultant, our benefits consultant at ADMINISTER go out to market to see what else was out there comparable. And she came back with 2 proposals from 2 other administrators. And they have districts, we sat down with district staff and evaluated those plans and really determined that there were disadvantages to both plans. I didn't really feel like now was the time to be making a change to a new administrator. So at the same time that Deb was out to market, she pulled the current year's claims experience for 2020. Sorry, I got my water on the way in here. So, and she had saw that there was a huge reduction in dental claim costs for 2020, really as a result of COVID-19 hitting. So it was about a 30% reduction in claims costs for the year. So I went back to district staff, and we decided to look at staying with CDS, and with the decrease in costs from 2020, thought, maybe we can compensate those elimination of the benefits and increase the annual benefit maximum of the plan from 2,000 to 3,000. So Deb, our consultant, did a little study, and by increasing that benefit and eliminating the other parts of the plan, there was still a decrease in overall costs for 2021. So it was about a 7% decrease in administrative fees, or administrative fees were decreased by 25 cents anyways because CDS had eliminated those programs. But overall, there was about a 7% decrease in the COBRA rates and the funding rate for the plan. So, so we're recommending that we renew with CDS for 2021, increase the annual benefit maximum to 3,000, and decrease the COBRA rates and the funding by about 7%.
So
Any questions?
the old amount was 2,000?
Yeah.
And how long had that been in effect for?
Yeah, I think for a pretty long time. I don't.
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Is it inflated? I know you can't do anything to the dentist for under $1,000.
Yeah, in 2,000, I think is pretty common. I don't think you see, 3,000 allows us to remain competitive and not have those other programs in place. And
1,500 is even common.
yeah.
So are we going overboard by doing this $3,000? What would the premium drop to?
Yeah,
So,
you talking about the rollover?
yeah, so the rollover provision of the program basically goes back. It's hard to explain, but every year that you don't max out on your benefits and you don't have
Individually?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can roll over about, I think it's $750 each year up to a max of $2,000. And so employees could have gotten up to an extra $2,000 banked for their annual benefit maximum. So you could have $4,000 in there at some point. And so we're getting rid of that because they won't administer it anymore.
Okay.
And so with that and eliminating the preventative dental service program, which again is another service that's not common in dental plans.
I hated it, by the way.
So by eliminating that, CDS will reduce the administrative fee, which is a per person fee. $575 will reduce it to $550. And so that was one part of the reduction. And then just with the claims reduction, and then I think the forecast for the industry next year, that even with our $3,000 benefit maximum for all employees, that we were still able to reduce the funding level by 7%. So from $147.23 per person to $137.84. And that's because it's a self-insured plan. So we fund it every month for employees. So overall, it looks really, the other plans, there was some of it was appealing. I think overall, just the administrative burden of it, additional costs, some of those administrators were not solely benefit administrators, so that was a little concerning. They were kind of getting into the market of health benefits. And just a few other factors, potentially employees having to switch dental providers. The networks were smaller, so that's when we went back to the table and said, well, hey, what if we stay with CDS and just kind of compensate for what we're losing and see what those costs are. And it's still penciled out to be less expensive for next year. So I think if approved, I think next year we would, when October rolls around, just when we kind of start to do the claims experience and see what 2021 looks like. And if it doesn't pencil out, we can go back out.
I got to give kudos to the team because usually every new year when I deal with insurance, it goes up. So the fact this year went down 7% is a achievement to your exercise. So no, thank you so much.
And that starts January 1st?
January 1, yeah. So it's around the corner.
Preventive, meaning like yearly teeth cleaning?
So
Every 6 months.
6 to 8 months, you have to have a cleaning and exam, and then
That's no longer part of the deal.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Well, you should still do it.
I was just
Thank you.
Yes. So, and that, you know, if you have one dependent who does not meet those requirements, it affects the whole
Yeah.
family. So, yeah, it was a tough one. And some of the other parts of the plans that we looked at, they did kind of a carrot instead of a stick incentive, which was kind of neat. So, you know, ours was, we just give you the stick. So, but yeah, all a good exercise, but at the end, it looked, the best solution looked to be to continue with CDS. And offer that higher benefit for all employees.
Okay, thank you. Motion.
Okay. Oh, so I'm free to speak.
You don't have to.
So, the district recommends renewing the 2021 contract with CDS Group Health, increasing the plan design to reflect the $3,000 annual benefit maximum, a decrease in the 2021 COBRA rates by 7%, and decreasing in the funding level from 147.23 to 137.84 for 2021.
Interrupting, but you're not
You
reading.
gotta read the numbers.
You gotta read the.
I don't want this very often. You want me to?
This is part of, just for you guys, this is part of my ongoing thing to train every person staff to read the motion so we can just be lazy
You
board
wait until
members.
it got to the end.
It sounded so good.
I could read it word
Word for word, right from number one.
Approve renewal of dental insurance with a 25-cent decrease in administrative fees, eliminating the preventative dental service program and the dental reward rollover provision, increase maximum annual benefit amount to $3,000, decrease 2021 funding level to $137.34, and decrease the 2021 COBRA rates to 55.05 for employee only, 110.11 for employee plus one, and 187.18 for family per month.
So moved.
I'll second that. Thank you.
This is the lazy board member
Yes.
procedure. You missed a comma.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Here comes the vote.
Okay, that passes 5-0. All right, this next item got on the agenda despite my complaints or my objections. So John, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Randy's the last board meeting with us here today, so we surely appreciate your service and guidance over the years. And we know how much you like the district gifts. So we do have just this one here for you today. It's a resolution number 3157-20. And I'll read that for you here today. Whereas Randy Vogelsang assumed office in 2011 and has served a total of 9 years on the STPUD Board of Directors. And during his term of office, he has served as board president for 5 years and 1 year as vice president. And whereas during his tenure, Director Vogelsang served on the executive, finance, water and wastewater operations committees, as well as the admin code, Alpine County contract negotiations, city council, and organizational structure, service, and efficiency ad hoc committees, and as liaison for El Dorado County Oversight Board and City of South Lake Tahoe. And whereas Director Vogelsang served as the district's representative for the California Association of Sanitation Agencies, whereas Director Vogelsang demonstrated leadership skills, guiding many board discussions with integrity while building consensus to accomplish one common goal for the greater good of the community. Now therefore, be it resolved that the STPUD does hereby express deep appreciation to Director Vogelsang for his many hours of public service to the people of South Lake Tahoe, California. So the proposed board action is to adopt resolution number 3157-20 in appreciation of Director Vogelsang.
Thank you very much, John. All the staff here, I've enjoyed it. Despite my sarcasm at times, I've enjoyed it immensely, meeting all of you and knowing all of you.
That's a lot of whereases.
Well, and I don't want to spike Dwayne on this. Dwayne got his whereases last time.
I got a bunch of whereas. I think you might got some whereas.
Well, I thank you all very much. That's much appreciated.
Well, you shouldn't thank you, you haven't got a motion in second.
Oh, that's true.
Can I go against it? I just want to say that I've worked with a lot of chairs over the 30 years that I've been in and out of the district. And you're the best one I've worked with, fair, astute, and timely.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I always listen to ideas, put forward ideas, you know. Yeah, very open-minded and was greatly appreciated, especially coming to the board new and everything else. So it was it was really great to, know you better, work with you, and a real privilege. So no, thank you so much for your efforts.
Thank you, Randy.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Let's see if this one passes.
I really was tempted to vote down.
There's a lot of whereas.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Randy, and best wishes to you and Kathy on a happy retirement. And I do have one more thing today. It's not an action item, but I do have something for Dwayne. We did do your whereases last time, but so this time, how about a sweatshirt? There you go. But thanks for filling in for Jim Jones, and your experience really made a difference this year with our COVID response and the customer assistance program, and we really made some progress since you joined us earlier this year on workforce housing and assistance to the Boys and Girls Club. So thank you for that.
Thank you. The reason I came back originally is my cup that broke. You have to be on 5 years to get a cup. I've done that.
We're looking for a leather coat, but
That's great. Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's you as well, Dwayne. Like when I first ran in 16, I don't know if you recall, but I remember meeting you and Tammy to get some coffee after dinner. And you guys couldn't have been nicer to me, like thoughtful, good conversation, family oriented, not just about the district, but about family and community. And you were always so welcoming and thoughtful too. Again, just ideas. And I'd say the thing I've really enjoyed with this board is that we laugh a lot. And I think that's a really good experience to be able to come to a board meeting and know that you're going to laugh a lot. So it's been really fortunate to work with you.
Thank you. I've enjoyed being on this board. And I can't say that I didn't truly miss it. But of all the friends I've seen come and go on the board, there's a time for one person and there's a time for another. And it's a good natural progression. And I felt very relieved at the 2 people that got elected. I think the district's going to be in great hands. And I'll be available to, to fill in history, which I found is sometimes important. You don't want to live in the past, but it's good to know where you've been so you can avoid some of those pitfalls that bite you where I can help. But I might come before the board from time to time on policy issues. I really feel very comfortable with you guys. I think it's going to be a great board.
Thank you, Lynn. We appreciate it.
Payment of claims.
I move approval of payment of claims in the amount of $1,547,998.67.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Okay, another 5-0 vote. We move on to standing and ad hoc committee reports. Are there anything to jump in on that? Okay. How about board member reports?
I have sort of something from the chamber. We've just been deluged with people asking, first of all, asking if they come here, can they be served, hotels and restaurants and things. And the others, in specifics, the restaurants themselves. And it's really a math thing. The only thing that they're being allowed to do to dine outside
is a two-sided cover that doesn't provide any cover over the top. And hopefully you've got it set to where the wind won't blow you away. We've had some nights that got down to almost 2 degrees. The one restaurant in town disclosed to me that they're spending $5,000 a month in propane. That's just in propane, and that doesn't even count all the to-go containers. The way restaurants work is usually you got about 8% rent, 30% labor, 30% food costs, and the rest is electricity and things like that. So right now, in order to send something to go with DoorDash, it costs 30% of the cost they've got, plus all these other things. So, and 25% they weren't making it, 50% they weren't making it, and now if they're the kind of restaurant people are willing to take food out, some of them are doing okay, but the bottom line is some of them are just desperate. And they don't know when the next shoe will drop, whether they'll be told to close completely.
I think we got told that today.
Yeah.
Was
For
that
3 weeks, yeah, stay-at-home order. And restaurants can only, bars are closed, restaurants can only do takeout.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's effective tomorrow or Monday.
So this just came down.
Yeah, 12:30, Governor Nielsen had a
I personally believe from a leadership standpoint and from a governance standpoint that the people that mandate that you close your business ought to not accept a salary until you're reopened. It's too much. So what we're going to see is I think in our town maybe 30 restaurants will go under, but more importantly, as importantly, their employees are really struggling because they're forced to stay at home with their kids because they can't afford childcare, and there isn't childcare even if they can afford it. And their job, of course, won't let them bring their kids to school. So unless they're a person who could work from home or construction or something like that, they're really, I mean, it's really getting bad. And that's nationally, it's not just here. So I'm not normally a downer. I'm just saying that as a community, we've got to figure out some way to support each other. I'm not sure whether it's all just shopping with each other's shops and the city is going to try, I think, to put up some money. But I don't see state money coming or federal money coming for a long period of time. Our tax money, just gets some back, I guess. So that's my report. I can tell you my phone, I come to sit here, it's been buzzing and buzzing, because I answer a lot of the chamber calls. People just say, what do I do? What do I do? How can you help? And I don't know. I mean, other than just revolt. And then there are people in town that are willing to put on vests and go around policing others and fighting them. So it's created an enmity. But I find those that are getting a steady paycheck aren't nearly as worried as those who have to work each week to produce one. So now that you're depressed, I'm depressed. I don't have the answers.
I think that's it on board member reports. Is there anything going on at the El Dorado Water Agency there?
Well, there's a meeting scheduled next week, and I assume it's going to take place, but I haven't seen an
agenda yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen an agenda as of this morning, but it is scheduled, so.
You guys are gonna love when you figure out what that agency is about, and how we send them money just so they can send it back. So it's a wonderful deal. So they can send some of it back.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, they don't send it all back.
I can tell you the history.
Yeah, so anyway, that'll be something that's fun to learn. Okay, John, you're up with your GM report.
Okay, we'll start with the staffing update. We're actually in the process of refilling 5 open positions. I think this is more than we've ever done at any time. And so we've one of those is closed, the underground repair water. We actually received 23 applications for that position. So really happy to see the strong interest in this position. And we'll have interviews coming up in the next couple of weeks. It looks like 2 or 3 weeks. We think we're going to do some of this virtually, at least for a first round of interviews. We'll see how that goes. On the laboratory tech position, that closed yesterday, and we actually had 63 applications for that position. So, and that was only being advertised for a few weeks. So a lot of interest out there locally in town for that position and these other positions. The pump station.
Talking about.
Yeah. The pump station operator position, that closes tomorrow, and so far we have 25 applications. And the water reuse worker, that closes next Friday, and we have 13 applications so far. And we potentially might be selecting 2 out of that recruitment pool. We have 2 openings at DDR. So, and we have 1 internal recruitment for pump station supervisor that closes on Monday. Liz has been very busy, absolutely. We've, I think, never had so many at one time in such a short period of time and being done so efficiently with really just 1 person in HR right now. So really impressive. Thank you, Liz.
Well, pump station lead, we're going to freak Jeremy out. Pump station lead.
And next, let's talk about our favorite COVID-19. As you know, as we've heard, we're experiencing a significant daily growth in cases. In the county, there were just 153 active cases in the county a month ago, as compared to 906 today. So, and that continues to grow every day. The county is reporting a 9.2% positivity rate today. And we know that South Lake tends to have much higher rates with all of our out-of-town visitors. So not looking great on that front. At the district, we still have 2 employees out. They tested positive. They had minor symptoms. They're planning to test again on Friday, and they could potentially return next week if those come back, test results come back negative, of course. We had another employee whose spouse tested positive, and but he actually tested negative, and his children tested negative. So that's, I think, good news. A little surprising. You know, you would think you'd have close contact at home with the mother for many days, and that would result in other positives, but not in this case. So I think, again, very kind of a head-scratching situation. We do have 2 other employees that are out as a precaution due to family exposures, or they're not feeling well. We're not sure why, so they're getting tested. We're awaiting results, and but they could return to work next week. A 3rd remains out, and they're awaiting test results as well. And 1 is working remotely, as there was a potential exposure at the Boys and Girls Club, and their child was going there. So he's been able to work remotely during this kind of a self-quarantine period. So far, we've had sufficient staff coverage to really keep employees home or working remotely while we go through these precautionary periods, whether it's 10 or 14 days. And really, we intend to do so for as long as we can, as long as we have sufficient staff levels, especially in some of those departments with very small crews, plant operations and our electrical crews, very unique work and very small crews. So far, so good. We are expecting, well, I guess we heard maybe today at 12:30. I had not actually heard that yet, but I had heard that we were going to get those shelter-in-place orders coming in from the governor. And so we got those at the district. I don't think this will really affect.
That was statewide, it wasn't county by county?
It is county, it's county by county, anybody who's in the purple tier.
Okay, which is almost all the counties.
Which is, I think it's what, 3 counties that aren't
purple.
So it's not very.
Yeah, it's just a handful.
And it includes a travel ban, which I don't know what that's going to do to like lodging in town.
But they didn't shut down lodging.
I don't think so.
I don't think they did. That's a question.
I should correct that, non-essential travel ban. So it's not essential that you come to talk.
I haven't seen the latest one, but I'm not surprised. The goal line keeps getting moved and changed back and forth.
15 days to flatten the curve.
Yeah.
So we had the governor's orders. I think as I talked at the last board meeting, we went to risk level 3 shortly thereafter here at the district. So at risk level 3, we're in compliance with these new governor's orders already. So I don't really see any major changes here beyond what we've already done today. Our field crews will start to work those split shifts next week, those 12-hour shifts, and our front office is closed again. We may want to consider closing our board meetings to the public, or maybe even holding them entirely virtually. We can talk.
I kind of punted that to the next board. You guys can talk about that next week, or 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, we could do it on like a Zoom or GoTo type of platform. We can talk about that, early next week and make a change for the following board meeting if desired. And I think next Paul has a related item on lake fees.
Oh, yeah. We assume the answer to this is yes, but we just want to receive direction before bringing the agenda item forward to continue the waiver of the late fees. This will be the fourth quarter of waiving those fees, and just to keep you up to date. The total at that time is about $275,000.
Are there people that haven't been paying the bill the whole time, just writing this late fee out? Do you know how many accounts are starting to accumulate on, pretty good chunk of money?
There are some. We've got two things going on though right now. I don't know exactly how many just related to COVID, because we still have a lot of people that haven't signed up for their electronic payment processing in our new Tyler billing system. And so until we get all those cleared up, we don't know exactly where we're at. But in total, our delinquencies are not skyrocketing. We're doing fairly well. We have the temporary collections clerk that's been working. She's been doing a great job getting people set up on payment plans. So it's actually working out well.
Yeah, because my only fear with this is if somebody lets it ride, it'll get so big that they'll never be able to pay it off. But it doesn't sound like that's happening really.
We're not hearing that yet.
Just real.
So
Go ahead.
I'm assuming the answer is yes.
Yes. Well, I was getting there, but that's okay.
I was going to bring up something else.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I think you don't need a motion or anything on this, just nod your heads. I think, yeah, I think you can go ahead on that.
All right, we'll just put it on the consent agenda for 2 weeks from now.
Okay. All right, Gary, you had a report?
And Julie can jump in too.
Water rights?
On the
Presentation.
on the solar project. Core is going to be out here next week, correct? With their engineers?
I think it's the week after.
It's the week after?
Yeah,
With the
it
date?
was not available.
Okay. So they'll be coming out to inspect the site and gather more data and develop some firmer numbers before they go talk to Liberty. And that's kind of where it's been left on that side of things. That they felt that they needed those numbers and stuff to be able to sit down and talk turkey with Liberty before, because they felt that Liberty wouldn't commit to anything on just on a big proposal. In addition, since the last board meeting, we had a call with Optimus.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the ones who put together the proposal, the request for proposals, and evaluated them. And we were talking about the draft PPA agreement with Core. Core given us a draft of what they were proposing. They said it was based on a standard template by an agency called NREL, and there was significant changes between that document and what Core put together. So Optimi had put together a series of comments. We had reviewed it as well preliminarily and compiled comments. We had to call, kind of put all those together, and Optimi was going to send those back to Core, say, okay, as a starting point, these things need to be cleaned up in your PPA. And so we want to get the ball rolling on that, because that's usually the longest thing to get negotiated is the PPA. And just so you guys, the power purchase agreement. And so and we've got the ball rolling on that. We will talk, we're also gathering names and recommendations regarding consultants for assisting us with the power purchase agreement that do these day in and day out. And when we get to that point, we'll bring a recommendation to the board. And there was one other thing. Yes.
Go ahead.
Anyway, Julie has set up a call with Liberty at the end of next week so that we can talk with them a little bit about what their constraints are or not, and as to what we think we can do with them in the future. So things are moving along, slowly, and as we said, Corps had indicated before that they're not in the time crunch to finish things by the end of the year. There's the tax credit goes from 26 to 22 next year because of their money. People felt there were other things happening in the market that would offset that, and felt comfortable with letting this process play out over a longer period of time. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was glad we didn't try to rush this into the year.
And
Too much going on.
I don't think there was no way
No way it was gonna happen.
PPO could ever get completed.
I think it worked out well, actually, how it all played out, I think as you're lucky to do sometimes. So no, thanks for the update, I was really curious.
Well, that's what we've got you for, but as I said before, and to the new board members, I'm sure you already know, whenever you rush something, usually later on, you're sorry. Because there's just things that get missed. Either, it's just inadvertent things, and especially when there's dollars hanging out there in front of you, you see those, but you don't see the in-betweens. So I appreciate the work Julie's done.
Okay, so we are going to move AD to after we come out of closed session, is that correct? So you can see what's on the notice past and future, so let's go out of open session right now and go into closed session. Are you guys okay with that, right, or you want to take 5 minutes?
Can we?
Yeah, you got some thoughts.
Can we do what we did before and isolate the folks online so that we can have close?
We're going to move, we approved the management memorandum of understanding sign letter regarding impacts of restructuring affecting the management unit staff.
Second.
Was that Wallace? Sorry, it's hard to tell sometimes down here. Okay. Here comes the vote.
All right, fine enough then. And with that, I believe I can adjourn this meeting.
Thank you. Sorry, the review.
Oh my God.
Will you guys be coming back and open after?
You guys are killing me.
Going to
Go out of open session and into closed session. Well, I don't know, Liz, you're getting sloppy on me, I say my last day.
I'll be excited.
We used to have white and green.
There was one more.
Now that you remind me, yes, I knew that too, so I'll.